So selecting the right water solution. If you're looking to enjoy healthy drinking water right from the convenience of your kitchen. So maybe, I mean, we've got lots of clients, maybe you're sick of bottled water, because I think a lot of people today know that tap water generally is quite unhealthy, but you just don't want to be bringing all that plastic into the world. Maybe you're an athlete looking for peak performance, or you're sick, you've got that niggling kind of, you just can't get to 100%, or maybe you want to get to 120%. So there's lots of reasons why you might be looking into water, and the first step is always filtration. And so firstly, you know, the first step in health is obviously to stop putting toxins into your body. And so every single water source is going to be different, and we'd like to discuss those different water sources, because we all know as water is like the universal solvent. If it's in your environment, it's more than likely going to be in your water. But you don't want to be filtering for every single possible contaminant in your water, because that's going to be really expensive. And so let's start talking about what you might typically find in your town supply water.
Okay. Well, as you already alluded, our bodies are approximately 70 to 80% water, and some of our organs are actually up to 90 and more percent, like the brain, for example. Yeah. So it's a no-brainer that we actually make sure that our water household is looked after. And particularly no-brainer when we are actually interested in good health. And like you alluded at the beginning of this interview or our engagement, that these days it's not difficult when we look after our health to get to 90 and 100. Still in being in pretty good shape. So going now into the details of how we can actually make our tap water well tasting and also healthy enough to be a good solvent for our body. Being a good hydration for our body. That is not too difficult to do when we know what to do. So let's talk about city water, town water. Now, in town water, we focus on chlorine. That's something that the council puts in. We have got the issue usually of chemicals in the water.
Like the environmental chemicals as well.
There are environmental chemicals in the water, but something also we could say the council has to put some kind of chemicals in the water that are maybe not perceived as chemicals, but they are artificially included. And then we also have issues of sometimes heavy metals, microplastics, etc. So generally what most people do is they have got just a carbon filter under the bench, whatever, with a filter tap, and that's what it usually...
Because the carbon is for the chemicals and the heavy metals.
That's what usually takes care of. The tastes nice, that's quite an overall good enough filtration, However, if we want to actually be more specific and understand that in our modern age and environmental issues, contamination, etc., we actually have to go a step further. Now, particularly now that we are dealing with microplastics, and also we're dealing with fluoride that is artificially included in the water these days, unfortunately. But hey, we have to face the fact that there is fluoride in the water, and it actually mucks around with our health. Not with everybody so severely, but some people are really sensitive to it. So to get fluoride out, we have got a very specific fluoride filter. Ionza has got one that is actually based on natural media, and it is alumina free, so therefore it doesn't recontaminate the water like some of the fluoride filters that are out there actually are based on alumina.
Yeah, that's all I've been able to find in my product research. They've all got alumina in them.
That's right. So basically what they do is they actually put alumina back into the water. Yes, it's a trade. They can say, yes, it takes out fluoride, tick. But actually they don't really share that there is an issue also with recontaminating the water with alumina. Yes, you can put a heavy metal filter after the fluoride filter, and it will do something of that, but you still would increase the alumina into the water because you'd never get it full
and then you're
out fully.
doubling your waste because
Yeah.
you've got an extra filter.
That's right, this as well.
Yeah. Rural supply. Now, rural supply can obviously be a range of things. So can you talk specifically about, say, stream and creek?
Yeah.
And move into the other ones.
Well, stream and creek is fraught with contamination of various kind, particularly bacteria, E. coli, Cryptosporidium, Giardia, any of that kind of thing. And really, I don't want to say you can't make that water good. You can, there's no question. But starting with debris, sediment, we have to get a sediment filter for that. We have to get either a UV system for that, to contain the bacteria, E. coli, etc. And so, yeah, it's possible, but it's just need to be mindful what kind of issues there are.
Yeah, so if you've got stream, creek, rainwater, your biggest concern or the things you should be testing for is the bacteria.
Yeah.
It's from what I understand, there's always going to be a level of living bacteria in your water, especially in those situations.
Yeah.
But it's the level and the type of bacteria.
You're saying it, how much of any of them?
Yeah.
There are some other issues that are really concerning and more these days, which is nitrate.
Yeah.
Particularly in streams, you have to understand that streams usually are the ones that have got some agricultural runoff, and therefore nitrate from artificial fertilizer and also to some extent from cow paddocks are definitely the contaminants that are increasingly becoming dominant in our water supplies.
Yeah. Now, can you talk a little bit, seems as though we're talking about rural supply, about the tanks and the effects that the tanks can have on the water?
Yeah. So rainwater given from our skies is actually slightly acidic, no minerals in there. So it's pretty good water if it's a bit like distilled water. When it comes straight into the lion's mouth sort of thing, if you open your mouth like that, then it's pretty cleanish water, unless it's been contaminated through clouds that have been built over agriculture areas or industrial areas. But because it doesn't have minerals and it's slightly acidic, therefore it's something that also needs to be looked at, because long-term drinking acidic water and no minerals is basically something that could cause osteoporosis. The other issue, if you now talk about the real thing about how everybody actually collects tank water, which means it goes through the gutter.
Yeah.
And
so
a gutter is a collection of all sorts of bugs and muck and stuff that causes a huge flurry of contaminants, starting with bacteria and E. coli, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and so that whole pH discussion around the acidic water is it's a whole nother discussion really, but ideally we have higher alkaline water. And that's easily achieved. And sometimes concrete tanks can bring some minerals into the water.
Absolutely. I mean, plastic tanks are the ones that basically keep the water acidic and no minerals. And concrete tanks buffer the pH, bring it up, and also introduces some minerals like calcium and magnesium.
Yeah, unless they're an old tank.
Sometimes you're right. An old tank, it wouldn't be quite as effective anymore, but still does some of that.
Yeah. pH is an easy thing to test. All right, so what about bore water?
So bore water, in my experience, can be very tricky. It can be amazing and clean, particularly when it comes from an aquifer. Like in Golden Bay, we've got some aquifers that come from Pupu Spring. Amazing quality water. But then other ones are just really full of iron, manganese, and sometimes even arsenic, which is a real toxin. So it really pays. If I would have a bore on my land, I would want to actually test it.
Properly.
Yeah, properly tested it by a laboratory. That's right. To understand what is in there that might be really dodgy.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing, great.
Yeah.
And if there's something and I know what it is, I can actually take care of it.
Yeah. If you don't, if you want to know what's in your water, like there's a variety of different. This can be a bit of a hurdle for people, because of the cost. But if you've got town supply, you can almost guarantee you're going to have chemicals, and you can find out from your local council. Your council should actually be able to give you a report.
That's right.
Yeah, I know we've gathered a few for customers that we collect, but they are outdated and your water's always changing. And I think it's really important because obviously you can pick up heavy metals and contamination along the journey. Like it's not just the council might have good water, but by the time it comes through your kitchen faucet, it's a different liquid. So yeah.
Well, I did a couple of years ago. I did research on the latest levels of nitrates.
Oh yeah.
And so I went onto various council websites and checked out the latest data of their reporting, as in doing water tests. It's all there.
Yeah, yeah,
You can
cool.
see all the different contaminants in there and the levels and so on.
Excellent. And the pH level,
Yeah,
that will all be
as
there.
well. Yeah.
And so then with the rural supply, it's not monitored, so you're more or less, it's up to you to get that tested.
That's right.
And you can do DIY type tests, which we have some in the link below. Or especially if you're on bore, you can go to somewhere like Hills Labs. You've used them quite a few times, and that's a really easy process.
In the South Island, there's also Cawthron laboratory in Nelson.
Cool. Okay, so a matter of doing a Google search, but I think water testing is pretty common these days and becoming more and more popular.
It's actually really easy. It's just a matter of calling them up, for example, or on the website. I think these days there's a link where you can then just order a self kit, self-measure, not self-measuring, it's a self kind of obtaining kit where you get all the different glasses, jars or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just follow the instructions and send it off to them, and then they do their bit.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. Choosing the right filtration system. So let's say we've come to the point, we know what contaminants we want to get rid of or reduce within our water. If we're focusing on filtration, can we speak a little bit to those same sections? So town supply and then rural, but focusing on what types of filters we need to be using in those situations. So we'll start with town supply.
It's an interesting one because it always depends on what you as a customer would like to achieve at home. Because some people say, I don't care about fluoride, maybe because you don't know enough about it, but maybe because you really are so convinced that fluoride is good for you. Therefore, we're not going to go into any dispute about this. Therefore, it depends on what you want to achieve. But if it would be me, for example, looking after my grandchildren in a city or townhouse, in Auckland, whatever, as example, I would want to have a whole house filter.
Yeah.
So all the bathrooms and showers are actually, and all the taps in the house, so my grandchildren can actually drink the water anytime safely. Yeah. And there's no chlorine. It tastes nice because when the water doesn't taste nice, the kids don't like to drink it. Therefore, they are not properly hydrated. And to always drink bottled water is a bit of a it's an obstacle in some way. Yeah. So whereas if they can readily drink when the body just calls for it and goes to a tap and go for it, that's much easier and it helps them to have better health and don't drink so much juice and other stuff.
Yeah.
So so that would be something really good also because we actually absorb chlorine through our skin when we shower or bathe. Therefore, again, it's a no-brainer actually to have really nice water for that purpose.
Yeah.
But because
showering apparently is nicer as well, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, I'm on stream, so
it's like spring water then.
Yeah.
When we have got a really nice.
Ionza
has a really beautiful and effective whole house filter. The Life Spring Plus. So it's lots of people rave about it.
Yeah.
So with regards to the drinking water side, we can do even a bit better in town and city water. Well, we can take the fluoride out for a start because Ionza has got this amazing fluoride filter. And then also we've got the ultra filter to actually take the microplastics out. That's right.
Yeah. And even living bacteria, that's sometimes an issue in town supply that I've seen on the news lately. Like it's good to safeguard yourself against that. Yeah.
So and then sometimes there are issues in town supplies with heavy metals. And so again, the Active Pure X that Ionza has is a fantastic filter to also take care of that. So I quite often, while I was still running Ionza, I actually, my favorite was when we didn't go into ionization, but wanted to have some form of alkalizing, ionizing with a mineral filter, which is the Alka Spring, and mostly focus on the filtration. Then I just offered them the the Life Spring Plus as a whole house filter, and the either the Alka City Total or the Alka Fluoride Free. So either these two combinations, they just went through the door all the time.
Yeah, the Alka Fluoride Free, especially when it's teamed up with the whole house filter. And then you're only filtering, you're doing like a really quality job on filtration for your drinking water, but not spending all that money on, you know, remineralizing and taking the fluoride of your whole house. So you're kind of just spending money on what you need. What system should I get if I've got town water with fluoride in it? So did you want to speak to that? Or
well, I think it's worth, I mean, at the moment, as we already touched on, we've got a filter called the Fluorex Max as the key component to get fluoride out, right? And that usually goes tandem with the Active Pure Extra, which becomes a pre-filter for it to protect that the Fluorex Max doesn't become the main filter and therefore it actually loses its capacity very quickly to remove the actual fluoride. Because then it would take care of all sorts of other filtration, which it can, but by that the capacity gets lost on that.
And I think that's pretty generic. Usually, from what I can see in my research, the fluoride filter is always buddied up with the carbon filter first. So then the fluoride acts independently on the fluoride.
And focus on real that job. However, more and more, I mean, when I started with Ionza and even 3-4 years ago, there was actually no easygoing reverse osmosis system that didn't waste a lot of water, that didn't have a tank, that didn't have a pump. It was just not available. And we went down that road to offer reverse osmosis systems with tank, but I found them a pain in the butt.
And you have to clean them, is that right?
You have to sterilize them every 2 years. Otherwise, you are going to run into a whole nother drama, which you might not even notice, that you actually introduce a mold into your water.
Right, which
it's crazy.
Is terrible.
It's crazy. So really, also to have an RO system, what I found, you need a really good technician who knows what to do, how to actually tune it. It needs to be tuned so it works well. And when that doesn't happen, it is a pain to work with. And then it takes ages for the water to be made. It doesn't make the specs of making so many liters per day. And that's something that you viewers and clients who listen to this now need to be aware of. The old style reverse osmosis systems with a tank limit you to maybe 12 liters per day. Which is not such a lot of water to use, particularly when you get guests suddenly and have to produce more water for cooking and drinking and so on. So just something to be mindful. Whereas now, and that's the game changer, now we actually can get reverse osmosis systems that have no pump and particularly no tank. And they actually waste less water than they used to do. So then it becomes interesting to also consider that for our city water tank where we have got fluoride in there.
And a lot of ionizers do well with that kind of filtration before that they go into the system, because the cleaner the water is, the longer the systems will work, obviously. And so for a system that we've got for town supply that's really popular is our Alka City Total. And that one's got 3 filters and then one mineral cartridge. And so you've got your sediment, you've got your active pure, sediment? Active Pure Extra, ultra filter, your fluoride filter, and then minerals.
The Alka Spring.
The Alka Spring. And so in that system, as a starting point, you're getting everything that you need to have really good quality water. And then often if people want more, then you can have those as a pre-filter to an ionizer or a hydrogen machine. So that's just an idea for someone with town supply with fluoride in it.
Well, let's go into bore for a moment. Which not everybody has got a bore, of course. It's in the agricultural area, it's usually very common. So as we said before, it's really good to do a test first, because there's no point fishing around in the dark sort of thing. I mean, yes, you could do a generic thing and it would take care probably of it, but sometimes we do have some really severe issues, and what's the point of not addressing them when actually there is one, but also what's the point of going overboard with a massive RO system, then actually there's no need to, because the water is beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's really what we advise. Let's see a test first and then take it from there.
Yeah. And then
But what could happen is, like with a bore, we alluded to that before, if we do have some serious contamination, even towards having some toxic substance in there, even sometimes like copper, sometimes there's so much copper in there that's not good for somebody's health. And also copper is in general a good thing in small portions, but actually here, for example, with that specific water supply, it's not, then therefore we have to be mindful of that. So in these situations, it's actually good to go for an RO system, a reverse osmosis system.
Yeah.
Whereas in other, when the water is actually overall really good, it might only need maybe either UV system or our ultrafilter to take care of the bacterial contamination.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are different ways dealing with that. Ionza can do it all.
Yeah, cool. And so what about stream, creek type water?
Yeah, I mean, mostly with that, again, it pays to know whether how big the influx is of either sediment or agricultural runoff contamination.
Yeah.
It might be, I think, with streams, I would also go for a test.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
dodgy otherwise to
Yeah,
just fish in the
don't
dark.
know. Yeah. Yeah. And so you're definitely going to be going with an ultrafilter, I think, in a sediment for sure, by the
Yes,
sounds of things,
yes.
and then testing to see what additional filters you might need.
Yeah, or not.
Or not, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So a test is not that expensive.
No, yeah.
So it's actually money well spent at the beginning, and having certainty is usually also peace of mind, which is also worth something.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of tank water, what filtration would you advise?
So tank water, we actually don't necessarily have to test unless we think we've got a massive influx through really difficult situation. Let's say we've got a tree over the roof and we don't want to cut that down because we love it, you know. And the trade-off of that is we're going to have leaves, and lots of them in the catchment, and that will be bird poo as well, and in the rural areas it might be even possum poo. And when it comes to all of that, you definitely need really good filtration.
Yeah.
So, for example, I would definitely go for a really good sediment whole house filter system, a UV system, and then would still have, as a drinking water filter system, I would still have the ultrafilter.
Yep.
With a pre-filter, the active pure extra, also take care of any heavy metals, etc., because it's possible.
Yeah.
And there might be also a case of when the water gets collected in a plastic tank to also remineralize the water.
Bring up that pH.
Yeah, bring up the pH and get some extra minerals in there. Sometimes people say cheeky, say, I don't need any minerals. I've got all that muck in the in the leaves in the catchment. Well, there's a little bit of a truth to that you will get something into the water, but whether that's also good and enough with minerals is a big question mark.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And those mineral cartridges are just so easy to add on and to.
And besides that, usually muck as in compost usually makes it more acidic rather than bringing it into the alkaline. So
So that's rainwater.
yeah, that's rainwater.